All right, mental math. The way I did this was just thought, okay, in order to go from 5 to 0.25, I have to multiply it by something with 2 digits behind the decimal. Okay, so 5 times 5 is 25, so we've got to do 0.05. We have 2 negatives, and so when we divide, there's 2 negatives, so then the quotient is going to be positive, so we get 0.05. All right, this one we do 8 squared, which is 64, but we want 6.4 in our final answer. And -4 plus -4 is -8, but you know, when we move over that 1 decimal point, we end up adding an exponent, which is -7. All right, this one I think, okay, 10m equals 600, so 10 times something equals 600, and that would be 60. Okay, 1 square foot, 2 square inches. Well, we just think, okay, I got to multiply it by 12 times 12, so 144. So 1 times 12 times 12. Okay, 33 1/3% of 150 is a third of $150, so that is $50. Okay, and so if you reduce $150 by $50, we get $100. Okay, jumping right into the lesson. Let's look at this. We're not going into astronomy. They're just showing you when we would use scientific notation in this form. They said an astronomical unit, AU, is the average distance between Earth and the Sun. It is roughly 150 million kilometers, or 93 million miles between the two. Okay. So the book gives a scenario at a point in Saturn's orbit when it is 1.5 billion kilometers from the Sun. Its distance from the Sun is 10 AU. So we're going to show you how we got 1.5 billion kilometers and convert it to AUs, or astronomical units. Okay, so we're going to write 1.5 billion. That would be that number right there. And yes, I would like you to write this down. Okay, kilometers. And we know that there are 150 million kilometers in 1 astronomical unit. So there's the conversion, right? We can do a bunch of crossing out and stuff. So, oops, that should be a 0. Cross, cross, cross. And we get 1,500 over 150. I'll just show you it that way. Then I'll show it to you with scientific notation. Okay, so now we've got 150 over it, so we get 10 AUs. Okay, now what instead if we use scientific notation? 1.5 billion would be 1.5 times 10 to the 9th kilometers. Okay, and we're going to divide that by how much 1 AU is, and that would be 1.5 times 10 to the 8 kilometers, right? That's what we did above, basically. I just didn't show the conversion, but we end up with this over this. So what happens is 1.5 divided by 1.5 is 1.0. So what we get, 1.5 divided by 1.5 is 1, and times 10 to the 9. So you got 9 zeros, 8 zeros. So what we end up doing is get times 10 to the 1, and that equals 10 AUs. Okay, now that might have been a little, this is mainly to explain to you the scenarios, okay, a real life scenario. Now we're actually going to talk about the rule. When we divide numbers written in scientific notation, we divide the powers of 10 by subtracting their exponents. Remember above, we added exponents, and when we divide, we subtract the exponents. So let's see what we mean here. We have the first example to write each answer in scientific notation. Okay, so to do that, you take first the numbers and do the division. So 6 divided by 12, and, or sorry, 1.2. So you can go ahead and do that off to the side as scratch and move the decimal over, and that's the same as 60 divided by 12, isn't it? So we could give him a 0, and so what that is 5.0, right? Okay, so the answer to this is 5.0 times, and like we said, we subtract exponents, 8 minus 6, times 10 to the 2. Okay, so you just do the math, 6 divided by 1.2, and then we subtract the exponents. Okay, so that's the big idea here, is subtracting the exponents. All right, the next one is 3 divided by 6. Now, 3 is half of 6, so you could think, oh, that's 0.5, isn't it? So let's go ahead and do 0.5 times 10 to the 3 minus 6 is negative 3, right? But this is not in scientific notation. We actually want 5.0. So let's take just this again. We've done this a lot, but I'm not sure if you guys totally have it. 0.5 is the same as 5.0 times 10 to the negative 1, right? Then we do times 10 to the negative 3. So now we finally have 5.0 times 10 to the negative 4 as our final answer in the appropriate scientific notation. Okay, 2 divided by 8 is 1/4, right? So that's 0.25 times 10 to the negative 2 minus 8. Okay, let me show you what that looks like. Minus negative 8, sorry. So what we have here is a minus minus. Negative 2 minus minus 8. So what that really is negative 2 plus 8. Okay, which is 10 to the 10 to the positive 6. So negative 2 minus minus 8 is the same as negative 2 plus 8. Okay, careful on that. This is not in proper scientific notation. So 0.25 is the same as 2.5 times 10 to the negative 1. And just think, if you undo it, if you go to the negative 1, you're going to kind of go backwards and make sure you get what you started with, times 10 to the 6. So that final answer is 2.5 times 10 to the 5. Okay, so let's look on. Now we're going to try and use a real life situation with us. Distance from the sun to the earth is 1.5 times 10 to the 8th kilometers. Then they tell us a unit conversion. Light travels at a speed of 3 times 10 to the 5th kilometers per second. Okay, how many seconds does it take light to travel from the sun to the earth? All right, so one way to look at it is that we'll use the unit conversion. We've got 1.5 times 10 to the 8th kilometers, right? And then they say light travels at a speed of this per second. So basically we have a choice of, here's the unit conversion, right? Let's see if you can see it. There's the unit conversion. So in this case, we're going to want kilometers on the bottom and seconds on the top, right? So we've got 3 times 10 to the 5th kilometers and 1 second on top. Okay, so now what it looks like is we have a division, right? These cancel out, and we're basically doing 1.5 times 10 to the 8th divided by 3 times 10 to the 5th. Okay, so 1.5 divided by 3 is 0.5, okay? Because 3 times 0.5 is 1.5. It's a way to check it. And then we do times 10 to the 8 minus 5 is 3. And we are in seconds as our unit that is left over. So what that means is I don't have it in the proper notation yet, so I shouldn't have boxed it yet. So 0.5 is the same as 5 times 10 to the negative 1 times 10 cubed. So our final answer is 5 times 10 squared seconds. Okay, and what does 5 times 10 squared seconds means? That means 500 seconds, right? So what they taught us is it takes about 500 seconds for light from the sun to reach the earth, okay? And what is 500 seconds? It's a little over 8 minutes for light to get to us from the sun. Exciting. Okay, let's go ahead and do the practice. Okay, I don't see any real life scenarios on the practice, so I think they gave you a gift there, but really be careful on getting the right exponent in the right, making sure you have one digit in front of the decimal. Okay, so you can go ahead and shut me off, check your answers in the back of the solution manual, or come back and check with me on video. All right, you may begin. Okay, so I have 3.6 divided by 2. Well, 3.6 divided by 2 is 1.8, so that's nice. That's already in the right form, times 10 to the 6. So I liked that one. That was not too bad. 7.5 divided by 2.5. Well, 75 divided by 25 is 3. So if I move the decimal over for both of them, it's true. The answer is still 3. 3 times 10 to the 3 minus 9, that is negative 6. And that is done there. Okay. 4.5 divided by 3. Well, 45 divided by 3 is 15. Okay. So 4.5 divided by 3. Well, 3 goes into 4 once. So it's going to be 1.5, if that helps. Or go off to the side and do the division, okay? I'm just doing shortcuts here. So 10, 8 minus minus 4. Negative 8 minus minus 4 is the same as negative 8 plus 4. Okay? Anytime you hear yourself say minus minus, that's really plus. Okay? 6 divided by 1.5 is the same as 60 divided by 15, right? 60 divided by 15 is 4 times 10 to the negative 4 minus minus 8. So negative 4 plus 8 is positive 4. So negative 4 plus 8 is 4 times 10 to the 4th there. Okay. This one is 0.5, so I'm going to show that first. 0.5 times 10 to the 8th, which is the same as 5.0, or 5, just 5, times 10 to the 7th, because this was times 10 to the negative 1. Okay, add that to the 8, we get 7. Okay, this is the same as 15 divided by 30, which is 1/2, right? So that is 0.5 times 10 to the negative 8, which is the same as 5.0 times 10 to the negative 1 times 10 to the negative 8 gives us 10 to the negative 9. Okay. And 36, or that's the same as 36 divided by 60. Well, again, you can do these off to the side, but 36 divided by 60, 0.6 times 3.6. 0.6 times 0.6. 0.6 times 6 is 3.6. So the answer is 0.6. That's what I'm trying to say. Negative 8 minus minus 2 is negative 8 plus 2. So that's a negative 6. We are not done here. Sorry. You're not done because that's the same as 6.0 times 10 to the negative 1 times 10 to the 6. So it's negative 7. Okay. Last one, 1.8 divided by 9, 18 divided by 90, or 9 times 0.2, let's do it that way, equals 1.8, times 10 to the negative 2 minus minus 8, so negative 2 plus 8 is a positive 6, and that's the same as 2.0 times 10 to the negative 1 plus 6, which would be together positive 5. All right, there you go. And we will see you on the next lesson.